another episode of the Tapestry Podcast. I'm Dr. Francois Booker Drew, and this is a show designed to elevate and amplify the voices of amazing women so that you hear their narratives and learn more about who they are, their journeys, and how you can take that information and use it to transform your life. And so today we have another amazing guest. I know I say that all the time because they all are amazing, but this one is amazing too. And so Teresa Coleman Wash is not only a friend and a colleague, but she's someone that I really admire and have been watching for a long time before we even got to be friends. And so she is a producer, playwright, and founding artistic director for the Bishop Arts Theater Center, whose mission is to cultivate a diverse and vibrant arts community while creating opportunities for local and emerging artists through performance and education. She is a National Art Strategy Fellow, having studied at Harvard Business School, and she holds an MA in Arts Management from Goucher College. She is the 2019 recipient of the Theater Communication Group's prestigious Peter Zeisler Memorial Award for Artistic Integrity and Ingenuity. And in 2018, she received the National Guild for Community Arts Education Milestone Award and the Dallas Business Council for Arts Obelisk Award in the category of Visionary Nonprofit Arts Leader. She has also earned several Irma P. Hall Awards, including a 2020 Irma P. Hall Theatrical Excellence Medal, and she was elected to serve on the Dramatists Guild of America Council, representing the Southern region, where she also served on the steering committee. Y'all, this resume is just a fraction. If you heard a lot and you're tired, this is nothing, because she has done far more than what she has listed here. And so welcome to the show, the amazing thought leader and just incredible human being, Teresa Coleman Wash.
Thank you so much, Francois. I have to tell you that I'm so honored to be on your podcast. I listen almost daily because it helps ground me. And I just love being in the same space with you, whether it's virtual or in person. I'm happy to be in your presence.
Well, I feel the exact same way. And so let's get started, because today I really wanted to talk about how you have been able to create boundaries in your work and in your life, because you've got a family, you're running a major theater company, you're involved on, we serve on a committee together where you actually serve as chair for the Visit Dallas. And so you're involved in a number of different things. How do you balance that? And what are some lessons you can teach us from your journey?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because I have had to set, really clear boundaries. In fact, I sent an email just a few minutes ago to a young lady who wanted to meet with me, and I had to say, I'm managing my time, and I've delegated that to other people, someone else on staff, and I respectfully ask that you meet with her. And that's really hard, Francois, to be honest with you. It's really hard, because you want to be accessible. But for organizations like ours, organizations of color typically don't have the staff that we need. We have 4 full-time staff people, and we're doing the job of 12 people. And so what that means for me is that I have to really manage my time. And so I've had to have, I know I've pissed people off, a lot of people off, but the purpose of bringing folks on staff is to help free up, your schedule so that you can be really more efficient. And at the end of the day, we are stewards of the community, right? We are not an organization. We're serving a community. The community expects us to be efficient. And so we have to make very difficult decisions and choices. And oftentimes I just really don't allow people to waste my time. In fact, my own staff people don't have my cell number, because my staff has access to me during the work hours, during the workday. And when we are planning events like we have this Saturday, we have a major drive-in social distancing jazz concert at Lone Star Park. We spend hours and hours of planning, talking to each other. And so when things fall apart, I really expect my staff and the people who are working with me to really invoke some critical thinking skills. And for legacy organizations, I think that's even more critical, because for organizations like ours, I'm the founder and executive artistic director of the organization. So we're a legacy nonprofit. And what happens in situations like this is everything falls on our shoulders. And the myth of the strong Black woman, is that a myth?
Mm-hmm.
We are not Wonder Women, and with so many Black women being affected by health disease right now, I feel like we have to really have some honest conversations and set clear boundaries. And sometimes that means pissing people off. And if that means that I'm going to be around 10 more years with my family, then that's what it is. That's what it has to be. Because at the end of the day, it really is a health issue. It's about how much pressure we put on ourselves and how we're able to manage that pressure and that stress. So I've really done a whole lot better on setting boundaries.
But Teresa, I think part of the challenge is for women is that we have issues not only about perception, but approval.
Yeah.
And because many of us want to nurture people, it is this fear of, oh my God, if I tell them no, are they going to be mad at me? And how is that going to, not even how they feel so much as how is that going to make me feel if I know someone is upset? And after a certain age, you get to a point where it's like, I don't really care if you're mad or not, you'll be good. But I think early on in people's career, setting boundaries, I know it was hard for me. Setting boundaries is difficult because you're afraid of how it may impact you, but you're concerned about, will it close an opportunity? And so it's being discerning. I think is critical in being able to recognize, is this something that is going to help me, or is it going to be something that harms me? How do you use discernment and being able to know which, door do you walk through and say, this is, what I need to do? Or how do you, discern and say, no, this isn't something that's good for me, and I'm going to move on and pass it on to my staff or whoever else? How do you do that?
Yeah, and that's a really good problem, a really good question. And, and certainly we have to be discerning in our decisions on, whether or not we delegate or we accept the responsibilities. This has been a harrowing year for all of us.
Yes.
But we are in a growth stage right now. And I feel like if I'm hiring people, bringing folks on to do a job, and I intercept that, I'm really doing my colleagues a disservice by not allowing them to handle situations that ordinarily I would have. And as a founder, I have to tell you that I'm really more sensitive to that the older I get, because you and I both know, Francois, that we've known organizations of color whose founders have left the organization, and when the founder sunsets, so does the organization.
Yep.
So I have to look at the really big picture. I am really trying to look at the big picture, and I know for sure, what I know for sure is that this organization means a lot to this community. I have to be incredibly mindful and thoughtful and strategic in ways that I haven't before when I'm looking at sustaining the organization. And so that's what I try to base my decisions on. What is going to be the best outcome for the organization in the long run? And certainly I can't, if I decide to accept another job or step away from the theater, I don't want to leave the organization having all of the institutional knowledge. Somebody else needs to understand how things ebb and flow here other than me. And as the founder, that is so incredibly critical. I really don't think that as Black organizations and organizations of color, that we do a really good job with that. And I'm trying to change that.
Well, and I totally agree. I do the same thing because we're on the same page with that because one, it's about legacy. And you brought that up, but it's how do you make sure that you're creating a legacy that goes and lives beyond you?
Yes.
And when you hold everything so close to you, then it is very difficult for people to access that information and very difficult for people to learn and make mistakes. And I think what happens for a lot of leaders is ego gets in the way and they're not in a position to be able to say, you know what, this isn't about me. It's, as you said, it's the community. It's bigger than me. How have you been able to make sure that you stay grounded? What have been some experiences for you that have allowed you to be the leader that you are? Because we both know folks we could call by name who don't lead in that way and are very controlling and aren't willing to allow other people the opportunity to make mistakes and learn. How have you been able to do that?
Well, I will tell you that I got in this business naively thinking that I would write and produce all of my plays. We were chartered in Atlanta in September of 1993, and at that time, I was writing and directing and producing all the plays. No one else, I wasn't given an opportunity for anybody else to come in and hone their craft. It's interesting now. What I do more so than anything else is create opportunities for other artists. And quite frankly, I think that's why the theater has grown the way that it has. So I'm really a case study. I'm a case study. I've seen how taking the focus off of me and placing it on the community, the kids in the community, the elders in the community, the artists in the community has really mushroomed into something far beyond what I even thought was possible. And I really think it's because the focus, I don't have a personal agenda. Very seldom, I write plays, but very seldom do the theater produce shows that are written by me because I did that for so long. And I really do think the theater has grown immensely because we are community focused. We really are. We try to center the people who live in this area. And what COVID has done, has allowed us to do, is create opportunities for artists all over the country now. So if you're looking at our monologue, I don't know if you followed the work
I saw it.
last few months, but we're doing a monologue workshop series. And those playwrights that we're working with are all over the country, but it's providing an opportunity and access for people to work with nationally recognized artists here in Dallas and also on the other side of the country, which is exciting for me.
That is, I've been watching and I'm so proud of you, because COVID has been so challenging for a lot of organizations. They are struggling and you have found your momentum in the midst of this, of how you, using that word again, pivoted in the pandemic. How have you been able to be innovative? Because I see it, but share with the audience, what does innovation look like for you and how have you been able to always do that and keep it moving?
I'm the face of the organization, but the reality is I have a very strong engine behind me. My board of directors are incredibly creative folks, and we've been intentional about making sure we